Hey guys, I just wanted to attach a short note from me onto this video. Um, I'm going to ask you guys to be a little patient with this video and listen through it because we kind of buried the lead in this one unintentionally, trying to give you guys some context and some more information. So bear with this one. I apologize. It's much longer than usual, and like I said, we don't talk about the most important thing till halfway through. Really apologize, but I went over it. We did tell it the right way, and I want you guys to hear the full story. So thank you very much for your patience with our lack of video skill, and I'll see you in the next video. Talk to you soon. Hey guys, it is Dan and Sharon coming to you from the hotel. We want to talk to you about something kind of serious this time. A lot of our videos this summer have been about fabulous opportunities that we had. Dan surfed. Dan did a climbing wall. We went down the shore thanks to Beachview Dreams Foundation. We have had a wonderful summer, but it is September, and I think we mentioned in the last video we have some projects coming up we want to work on in the fall. One of them is that this past Tuesday, right after we came home from Beachview Dreams, Dan had a surgery called a tendon transfer. And what that is they take the tendon on this side of your hand, which apparently is not used very much, and they take it from here and they put it over here. So it runs up your thumb. And that sounds futile, but one of the things that will do for Dan is give him the opportunity to move his hand like this, and this is huge. This is holding pens and spoons in his case. This is holding a joystick, playing on the Switch. Possibly more importantly, being able to move his wheelchair better than he is. That oppositional movement is super important. We've been looking for someone to do the surgery for Dan for about a year and a half, and we finally found someone. One of the complexities, unfortunately, of being Dan is he has a lot of issues going on at the same time. A lot of doctors look at him, and first of all, they want to put him in the hospital, which we don't understand, but that is kind of the thing. But the other thing is they are very intimidated by doing a surgery in one area where maybe another area could suffer. That's being as nice as I can about it. We actually had two surgeons about this tendon transfer idea. One sent us to the first one, and then the other one referred us back to the second one. So there's been a lot of wheel spinning and general grief about this. But we stuck it out because to have that oppositional movement, I think would be game-changing in many ways. And we finally found a surgeon that thought, yeah, that's a great idea. He was very cautious with us about telling us what the possibilities were, which I appreciated. And then Dan took 3 weeks on his own, because this happens to him, not me. And he made the choice whether to do the surgery or not. This is one of the first optional surgeries that Dan has done. So far, everything has been, you got to do this to live, or, we were in a crisis setting, or whatever. This is a time when Dan could take stock of what was going on, and exactly how much he wanted to do, to give himself additional capability, or, maybe not. We're at the point now where, we can compensate in lots of ways. But Dan thought it over for about 3 weeks. We talked a little bit about it in between. And then he decided to do it. He decided it was worth it to do this, and I agree entirely. I tried very hard to keep my opinion out of it, but I'll say to you all now, I wanted him to do it. There are other optional surgeries down the road. This one to me was huge. So Dan went into Methodist Hospital in Philadelphia, which is where the surgeon operates, and had the procedure done on Tuesday, and it went beautifully. He did great. The doctor was so happy with the way everything, at least initially, kind of played out. And we were thrilled. Now, you guys have seen Dan's Hoyer lift, the lift that lifts him from the bed to the chair and the chair to the bed for the most part. So on the way out of Methodist Hospital, which is a Jefferson Hospital now, by the way, on the way out, they transferred him from the bed into his chair so we could leave. I had the van there. We didn't need transport or anything. It was just a matter of getting him in the chair. And I don't know how to say this without being blocked by YouTube. You guys want to message me later, I'll tell you what I've been calling what this was. But I can't say it now. It was the most incompetent transfer I've seen in my life. And they wouldn't let me help. For insurance purposes, mind you. So it was a very awkward, very uncomfortable transfer for Dan, and none of us realized exactly how uncomfortable this was. So we got home, and Dan has his where the incisions were, which are up this arm and then across here. Is thoroughly bandaged with gauze and with an ACE bandage, and we were instructed not to touch it, which we have not done. And Dan was in a considerable amount of pain. By Tuesday night, he was talking about pain up here, where his shoulder was, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is awful. This is shooting right up his arm. And we were given pain meds, and we've been alternating that with Motrin and Tylenol and all the other things to try as hard as we could to keep him comfortable. On Thursday morning, one of the nurses called me in to look at him while they were getting dressed. And Dan has this incredibly ugly, and with his permission, I'm going to include a picture after this of what this bruise looks like. An incredibly ugly bruise right here behind his shoulder. Dark purple, stippled, awful looking. No one wants this, right? So we were worried about it. We didn't like the way he was holding his shoulder on Thursday morning either. So we zipped over to the ER at Jefferson Hospital in Cherry Hill. And come to find out that during that transfer, they broke his shoulder. No other way to say it, no way to downplay it. He has a broken shoulder. And at the moment, this is a couple days after that, now we're managing the pain of the shoulder. Dan doesn't think the pain of the incision hurts at all, just by comparison. A broken shoulder is very painful. There's nothing they can really do for you other than try to immobilize it. So you guys can see the black sling here. This is for immobilizing the shoulder, sort of. But Dan's in pain every time we jiggle him, every time we put him in the Hoyer to put him back in the bed. Every time we go down a bumpy road in the car, this is a problem. I can't say this enough. And most of the time, Dan and I were living our best lives. But I wanted to show you a video where these things happen. These things happen all the time. Dan still can't tell us, and he can tell us that yes, it hurts all the way up to my shoulder. But we can't always interpret that because he's had major incisions down his arm. I don't know what to say about it, except to say that if you don't know how to work a Hoyer lift, you should say so. I was not allowed to help with the Hoyer lift coming out of Methodist Hospital because of insurance reasons. And I'm here to tell you that if I had been in on it, this would not have happened. So now, right now, we're having a harder time managing the broken shoulder than we are the surgery, bottom line. No, we've whined to you guys a lot about problems we have with accessibility, and there are many, and believe it or not, we haven't told you about all of them. But this is so far over the top. Dan went in making a conscious decision to improve his situation based on the recommendation of 2 different surgeons and honestly me. There didn't seem to be any downside with this, and he walked out of there with not only the double incision on his hand, which is painful, he has a broken shoulder now because people insisted on doing something they were not trained to do, they were not capable of doing, and excuse me, but they basically sucked at it. And I was sitting there dying because I know how to do this. I'm not great at it. Dan's nurses do it most of the time, but I've seen it 1,000 times. And I was not allowed to help. I was not allowed to advise. They didn't want to talk to me at all. So this is what happens when we go into a hospital. And if Dan never wanted to take another surgery again, I get it. I would get it. This has been a god-awful experience. There's no other way to say it. I feel terrible. I wanted him to do this. And now he walked out of there worse off than he was when he walked in. And nobody wants that. We called, I raised Cain. You guys know that I am vocal when I am upset. And I was met by a system that is set up to not hear us. I talked to clinical assistants of the surgeon, I talked to administrative assistants of the surgeon, and mind you, this guy is no joke. He's good. He's good. We knew that going in. We chose him for that. And not only is he good, he was the only one that took one look at Dan and said, yeah, I think this could really help. I want to do it. So lots of upsides with this guy. But could I talk to him afterwards? I could not. Tomorrow, we're going for Dan's follow-up for the hand surgery that he got. And believe you me, everybody I run into is getting a piece of our minds. But we're not in charge. It's Dan's care. I am his primary caregiver for whatever that's worth at this point. Something goes wrong, no one wants to talk to you. And this is not the first time something's gone wrong with Dan. And I'm here to tell you, you guys are going to look at this and you're going to say you sue them. And I'm going to say to you, you can't sue everybody. And that's all I can say. I feel terrible about this. Dan is in pain. He's going to be in pain longer than he would have been for the original surgery. It's on the same side, so that's an aggravating factor. And there are other elective surgeries down the line that are going to be presented to Dan. Dan has something called contractures happening with a couple of his fingers. So what has happened is they have permanently, it's called clawed. They have turned into claws. This is on his left hand. Down the line, not right now, maybe not even in a year, but down the line, he's going to need surgery on them that will fuse the joints and allow him to hold his hand out like this. Otherwise, his fingernails and everything will eventually run right into the other. I would have blamed Dan if he never wanted that done, and that's going to be important at some point. So I'm here to say that even though we try very hard on our channel to be upbeat and both still believe we're living our best lives right now. And we are, right, honey? There are a lot of downsides. We don't always film it. We may try to going forward, because I feel like we have not always not been honest with you guys, because we are very happy in our lives right now. We have been honest about that. But we have not always been honest about the challenges that Dan faces, and I think we're going to do a little more of that. And I apologize if that flows into any negativity, which we also try really hard not to have. And in a lot of ways, we're doing we are living our best lives. We're retired. We're not retired due to disability. We are just flat out retired, and we're enjoying that. We're going to wine tastings. We're going to vacations. You guys saw our last video about the Beachview Dreams apartment. Dan has surfed this summer. No offense about the way I'm saying this, but on his best day, Dan never surfed, right? But he has surfed this summer. We're doing our best to take every opportunity to live our very best lives where we are in life at this moment. But it's not always easy, and it doesn't always go well. So I thought we should tell you guys about this. This is a big deal. This is a problem. And like I said, you can't sue everybody. And we've had more than one opportunity to do so. So, I'm sorry about this one. This was a downer for sure. Dan, on the other hand, has been a champ. He's been in a lot of pain, double pain when you think about it, for the past week since Tuesday. He had it done the Tuesday after we came back from vacation. That was one of the projects we were talking about. And he has been, as always, incredible. And in the end, he's going to have more capability than he did before. But this broken shoulder deal is no picnic. It is no picnic. It was unnecessary. It was the reason why a lot of people choose not to have surgeries that would improve their situation. Can't say enough bad things about how this happened. I've included some pictures before and after, as usual. Afterwards, look for the picture. Dan has a giant bruise up his shoulder, which is a bruise that appears when you break a bone. I knew it when I saw it, even before we talked to anybody, because, as you know, Dan broke over a dozen bones in the initial accident. His body was covered with this bruise. And I saw it again, and I thought, oh my God, this is broken. And everybody's talking about, well, it's dislocated, it's this, it's that. No. Broken shoulder is what we have. And this kind of a bruising is very distinctive. You guys have broken an arm, you know what I mean. You see it. So, I don't know what else to say, except to tell you that this is the bravest man I have ever met. And I'm so proud of him, because he's forging forward. And I'm touching his sore arms, so stop that. Dan, did you want to add in anything? Is this about it's going to be worth it? Yeah. And that's what Dan thinks. It's going to be worth it. And to be able to have that oppositional movement, maybe it is. Maybe it is. But this broken shoulder deal should have never happened. It was a lack of training. It was a lack of people understanding that they don't have the training and they've got no business doing it. It was people who said, I couldn't help because of... We want to get monetized on YouTube, so I'm not going to say this the way I want to. But it's about people who looked at someone who could have helped and said no for insurance purposes. What does that even mean? I mean, think about that, right? So I'm very upset, and I apologize for yammering on. Dan is a champ, as always. I'm going to include some pictures before and after of the procedure, and I've got a couple really good sketches of what they actually did to his hand before they broke his shoulder. So hopefully we'll see you guys the next time. It'll be a better video. Usually they are. And we'll both talk to you soon.